Well, the Angels made it really difficult for this longtime fan to say that I'm a fan over the weekend, but I'm still here. John's still here. We're going to talk about the details, and we're going to talk about what we do now and what this team needs to do now. It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And of course, the best way to help us out is by giving us a rate and a review, just like Bob O25989 did recently. We appreciate your 5 stars. And those watching on YouTube, hey, by the way, we just crossed 6,000 subscriptions. And so thank you so much to everybody who is subscribed to the channel. And if you're not, please subscribe and click that bell to be notified every time a new episode drops.
Thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch Brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Hey, it's our second season here at Locked On Angels, and like Mike mentioned, we just crossed 6,000 subscriptions on YouTube, so thank you to everybody who did that. Thanks for letting us be your baseball therapist. Somebody called us that over the weekend, and I thought that was a really great way to put it, because you and I are longtime fans of this team, Mike, and we're generally positive people, not always positive about the Angels specifically, but just generally positive people in life. And this weekend put me in the black hole of doom after watching us lose to the Mariners and get swept by guys named Cal and Ty and Cade and watch them dance on our field after every victory. They probably there's probably somebody in their system named Blaine in their system too. And these are the people that we're losing to. Todd, right? Yeah. These are the people we're losing to.
Yeah.
And they're AL West rivals, and they came out there and the Angels were pathetic. Pathetic, right. Mike. So we're going to talk about the whole series. Let's start with games 1 and 2. Talk about that Thursday loss.
Yeah, so we were here through the losing streak last year. We're going to be here over this pathetic weekend as well. The Angels did lose 5-3. John, the big story of that game on Thursday was Carlos Estevez coming in and blowing a save, and getting there was actually it was kind of a really great game. I mean, the Angels really battled, and Shohei stole a base, and then the Angels got a hit with runners in scoring position. CJ Cron got the hit. And then we had a great Matt Moore inning, and we had a great Ronaldo Lopez inning. And so Estevez, of course, comes in and gets the save, or at least tries to get the save, because he's our closer. And he loads the bases with 2 walks, gives up a single, and then gives up a grand slam in the 9th to Cade Marlowe.
To Cade.
Right. And it's one of those things where, of course, this is how you want your bullpen to line up. You want Moore, and then Lopez, and then Estevez.
Especially after Ohtani was only able to go the 4 innings, and he battled through that. And so he had that cramping in his hand. And so you're thinking, oh, great. Like, our best chance to get a win here is, of course, with Ohtani on the mound. Right. But then Jose Soriano comes in for 2 innings. Matt Moore and Ronaldo Lopez are outstanding and lights out. And of course you go to your closer in the 9th inning.
Yep.
That's what Estevez has done all season long. He's been great out of the bullpen. He's perfect in save opportunities. I know he's given up some leads where it's a tie game and whatnot, but it wasn't a save situation. And it's frustrating because they overcame so much. Mike, if this game doesn't go down the way it does, it's a whole different weekend, isn't it?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And in that pitching performance by Estevez, it was just a moment where he threw a bunch of really hard fastballs high in the zone, which is where he's lived a lot. And there's been some conversation of, like, maybe if he threw a slider instead of a 3rd or 4th hard fastball at the top of the zone, things would have been different. But we have to look back at what has helped Estevez be successful, and it was that hard fastball at the top of the zone. Mm-hmm. So this is one of those games where it was frustrating, John. And quite honestly, you can't lose that game. You can't lose that
game.
And
not the way that you lost it.
However, it was one of those things that we kind of expected, because you're not going to be perfect all season long in save opportunities.
Sure.
And this is one of those games where you can say, we're going to turn the page. However, it really affected how the Angels performed for the rest of the weekend, and it really affected how they performed in the very next game. And I have a theory, John, as we talk about the next game. I have a theory that the Angels play up to their opponent. They do not actually know as a team how to crush their opponent. They just play up to whatever their opponent's doing, they do. And you saw it all weekend long. Good pitching performance was matched by a good pitching performance.
Yes.
A good hitting performance was matched by a good hitting performance. But they don't know how to actually get above that, to get over that, to climb that hill. And I think Friday night was one of those examples. They lost 9-7.
Yeah, it was 5-1 early on in the game against Luis Castillo. And you told me, you're like, they're not coming back against Castillo. This is impossible. And then they did. And that was the thing. It was like, okay, maybe they got that out of their system the night before. They're coming back. At one point, they're down. They come back 5-5. Then it's 7-5. Of course, immediately after they tie it, the lead goes away again. Yes. Another one of those innings where they need a shutdown inning. Can't do it. But then they get another 2 runs to make it 7-7. And part of that was Mike Moustakas carrying this team on his back with a 3-run home run. 5 of his 6 home runs with the Angels have tied the game or put the Angels in the lead. And Mike, I had to crack up about this because Jared Weaver texted or tweeted over the weekend, X'd? I don't know what you call it anymore. And he said 93 pitches through 4 innings is laughable or ridiculous or something like that. And everybody knew, not just because he was a former Halo, everybody knew he was talking about the Angels. Everybody knew he was talking about Reed Detmers. 4 innings pitched, 9 hits, 7 runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks on 93 pitches.
Yep.
And again, it's an unhelpful, ineffective start from Halo's pitching.
John, here's my point. This helps emphasize my point. He goes 4 innings and gives up 7 runs and throws 93 pitches. What did Castillo do? He goes 6 innings and gave up the same amount of runs, but he eats up the innings. And so the Angels matched what was good and what was terrible. But the difference between the Angels and Mariners this weekend is that the Mariners were able to say, we're going to hang in there and we're going to shut the door and it's going to come. Get ready for it. And Castillo was one of the main reasons why they were able to hang in there, because he was able to, even though he was struggling as a starter, he was able to shut down the Angels when necessary. And Reed Detmers just seems to forgot how to pitch. I mean, that guy just seems to not be the guy he was last year. He had a couple of really great starts, but even in those great starts leading up to this game, Johnny, he still threw a lot of pitches and was kind of figuring it out. And Phil Nevin said afterwards, we're in August. You can't be figuring things out, which I loved. I love that he said that out loud, because we are in August and we're in a playoff push and you shouldn't be figuring things out.
Well, but that's on him. They shouldn't be figuring things out. Yeah. Well, that's on you and your coaching staff, because you don't know how to get your starter to throw a shutdown inning after the team gets the lead back for you. So it starts with you, Phil Nevin, and it goes to Matt Wise and Marcus Timms and all those guys.
And here's a coaching point, Johnny, and you pointed it out on Twitter. Reed Detmers missed every single time when he wasn't looking at the catcher, when he was looking off to the left.
I'm a nerd who doesn't know how to play like, I love baseball. I can play baseball. I have no athletic bone in my body at age 34, Mike. And even I can identify that Reed Detmers looking at the runner at first. And if my audio's it's because I'm looking away from the microphone.
Right. Yep.
And then as he's throwing the pitch, then he's turning his head. And we've seen this for 2 years, and they've not said boo to him. They haven't said one word.
You're not even going out to actually say anything to him on the mound or maybe in the dugout. Hey, by the way, Reed, make sure that before you throw, you're looking at your catcher.
You watch Locked On Everydayers. You watch Reed Detmers next time, or any other starting pitcher for that matter. Maybe Sandoval tonight. Whenever they're not looking at home plate when they throw the pitch, it's wide of the zone. It's above the zone. It's in the dirt, and it never works. Same thing I said with Matt Theis last week. Every time he swings, it's the same exact swing. Big loopy-doo golf club swing, and he swings under the ball, and he did that all weekend long. He hit a home run on Sunday because it was in his swing path.
Right. After this game, I wrote down this note, and I put it in our notes. I said, if I was Perry Manassian, I would write down this note. I'm heavily considering not bringing back Phil or any of the staff next year. I would put that note down after watching how this Angels team performed in that game on Friday night.
And then the next day or Sunday, he wrote, I'm firing everyone in his journal, because that's what he should be doing.
Right.
But Mike, I got to give a shout out to Dominic Leone, and Locked On Everydayers on Twitter decided that we're going to call him Dominant Leone, because that guy came out
so far and
was a stud all weekend. Hey, the Angels are back at it against the San Francisco Giants, interleague play, 6:38 Pacific time. It's going to be Logan Webb Woohoo! Great. The best pitcher on the Giants versus Patrick Sandoval.
Yeah.
Watch his head. Watch his head as he looks to first base. Catch every pitch of the Angels hometown broadcast on SiriusXM with the SXM app. Just search Angels. Coming up on Locked On Angels, we've said this before, and we're going to say it again. What now?
Yep.
Where do the Angels go from here?
Yep.
We're going to talk about it coming right up.
Hey, today's show's brought to you by Dave, not our super Halo brother, Dave, but actually a financial app. I know sometimes we need some financial help, and that's why this app is really great. It helps you to get cash when you need it between paychecks, and it can help you build credit and settle extra cash advances on time. Dave is a banking app that's leveling the financial playing field. And when you download Dave today, you can get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less, no credit check, and no late fees. It's a part of Dave's extra cash account. Advance the money you need with no interest, and then you can settle up later. Extra cash gives you more money to buy groceries, fill your tank, and we need that in this economy. And it also helps you in between those paychecks. You can even build credit when you settle on time. Millions of people have already downloaded the Dave app to make their finances a little bit easier, and you can too. Download the Dave app at dave.com/MLB. That's dave.com/MLB. And you could get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less, no credit check, and no late fees. Again, download the Dave app or go to dave.com/MLB. For terms and conditions, go to dave.com/legal. Eligible criteria and instant transfer fees apply. Banking services provided by Evolve, member FDIC.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Locked On Everydayers, we got a series against the Giants, a World Series rematch, Mike. That's the only way you can look at it to make you feel good about this team right now. Yeah, from 02, from back when I was 13. The Angels are playing those Giants 6:38 Pacific time. You can catch every pitch of the Angels hometown broadcast on SiriusXM with the SXM app. All you got to do is search Angels.
The Angels played to the level of their competition this weekend. And here's another example. Saturday's game. They lost 3-2. Tyler Anderson actually pitched pretty well. He pitched like a fourth or fifth starter, which is where I think he kind of lines up in this starting rotation with the pitchers that we have. He's probably higher than that, but he went 5 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, 6 Ks. Only 80 pitches. The reason why they took him out is they didn't want him to go through the lineup a third time.
Well, and if you notice too, I know some people were saying, why didn't they send Anderson back out there? But those last couple of batted balls in play were hit pretty hard.
They were hitting hard.
I think you just kind of recognize at that point, all right, maybe they're recognizing the pitches out of his hand. They're a little bit more on them each time they face him. So I think that was a good call.
Yeah, Dominant Leone came in and actually, again, pitched really, really well. Gritch got a home run in this game. Johnny, really the story of this game was the RBI ground rule double by Brandon Drury in the 9th. Cron was able to score. CJ Cron was able to score, but Moustakas was not because the ball bounced over the wall and Angel Twitter it just erupted and they said, we have to be cursed because that ball, if it hits the wall, we're tying the game in that moment.
Let me just say, I understand hitting with runners in scoring position, changing your approach at the plate, shortening up when you have runners on, and maybe hitting the other way. Maybe all of that factors in. But come on, that's just isn't that just classic Angels? The ball hits the grass the way that I don't think I've ever seen a ball hit the grass like that and go over that wall, Mike. Wasn't it the tall wall in front of the bullpen? It wasn't even the short wall, was it?
Right. It was right as the bullpen was ending and it kind of landed in that little gap where there's the grass and there's the bullpen.
So but I understand all of the, yes, there's plenty to criticize about the Angels at the plate, the pitchers, the approach. We've done all that. We've talked about that, but come on, this is just classic Angels baseball where if anything can go wrong, it can and will go wrong for this Halo team.
Yeah, this was Phil after the game. He said, the optimism will still be here tomorrow when we show up. Remember, this is after Saturday's game. We have a job at hand. We owe it to everybody to come out and play. This team fights. Certainly the losses, the disappointment, the hurt. It's tough to be in the room right now. Johnny, I just gotta say this. I'm tired of the narrative of this team fights because a fighter is here's the choice we have to make. We're either Jose Ramirez or we're Tim Anderson, right? And if you didn't see that this weekend, Ramirez and Anderson actually squared up against each other and Ramirez started throwing and he knocked he knocked Anderson on his butt.
He was loopy for a while too.
And so,
he got
and so
carried off the field.
That's the thing. Like, so we can fight, but we either are the fighter or we're getting fought. And I think that's what's happening is, listen, you can battle and battle and battle, but there's a point where you have to keep battling where you overcome and you actually get to the victory. And that's where the Angels just this weekend, especially, that's where everything kind of got revealed, is that they just don't have that ability, or they didn't this weekend have that ability to overcome any of the obstacles that were thrown at them. Even the ball bouncing over the wall. They had a runner in scoring position and they had another at bat and they had the pitcher on the ropes and they couldn't come through.
And Renfroe struck out looking, right?
Yeah.
Or swinging. Sorry, struck out swinging.
Or swinging. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But that's the thing too, is like just swinging his wet noodle bat. And that's the problem, is that you're not coming through in those moments. And that's why you have to come through in those moments. And that's why he is here. And so lay down a bunt, make contact, do something in that moment.
I made an observation. I didn't count exactly, but after that happened on Saturday, on Sunday, I watched how many pitches Renfroe swung at out of the zone versus the ones he watched in the zone. And it just drove me absolutely insane. It's just like, you're right. They play up to the level of their competition, but then they don't cross the finish line ever. And that's exactly what happened this weekend. I did have a good time making fun of Julio Rodriguez throwing a fit after he had to go back to second base, and then he got thrown out trying to steal again. And on his way back, he went, I can't believe it. So if there's anything that you could take away from this weekend, at least it's Julio Rodriguez throwing a fit. I've never seen Mike Trout throw a fit like that, Mike. I've never seen him act like a child out there. So I'm going in hard on the Mariners because their fan base and the team, they're so Scott Servais is the most arrogant, annoying manager in the entire league. And it makes sense. He was with the Angels in the front office, and now he's with Jerry DiPoto up there in Seattle and the Pacific Northwest. And there they are throwing their fits, and I can't believe I got thrown in. And Scott Servais comes out. Was he out? I don't know if he was. So I just had enough of Mariners and Mariners Twitter this weekend. Just a bunch of babies.
Quite honestly, I quite honestly, John, and we'll talk about it in the next segment, but this Mariners team is not that good. And the fact
their
that
pitching's great. Don't get me wrong.
And that's the thing. Like they really played up to their competition this weekend, and they did what they were supposed to do. And the Angels made them look really, really good. And we've joked about it on this show, and we've been fans for a long time. If you want to get right, come and play the Angels, because they have the ability to make you look good and sound good and play good and help you in the standings. And that's exactly what the Angels did for the Mariners this weekend.
Well, and they've been playing good baseball in July. I think they had like the best record in July baseball, which is fine. But then they come into town, and again, the Angels can't cross the line. They can't finish the job. And then you watch those dweebs doing their little cha-cha dun 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 on our mound. And it's like, you let that happen. You guys sit there and watch from the dugout. Those dweebs dance all over your pitcher's mound in Angel Stadium, and you just roll over and let it happen. And that's why we're here ranting and raving right now on Locked On Angels.
This is totally appropriate. Today's show is brought to you by BetterHelp.
Yes.
I know it's easy to get caught up in what everyone else needs and never taking a moment for yourself. And when we spend time actually helping ourselves to be better, it's actually better for everybody. And therapy can give you the tools to find more balance in your life so that you can support others without leaving yourself behind. This is why you should give online therapy a try at BetterHelp.com/LockedOnMLB. BetterHelp will connect you with a licensed therapist who can take you on a journey of self-discovery from wherever you are to wherever you want to be. It's helpful to learn coping skills and how to set boundaries, and it also empowers you to be the best version of yourself. And it's not just for those that have experienced major trauma, it's for everybody. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, why not give BetterHelp a try? It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. So discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnMLB today. You'll get 10% off your first month. You're welcome. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnMLB.
Okay, Mike, I got to talk about that start from Chase Silseth. The guy has been incredible the last 3 starts.
Yeah.
And you know why? It's because he went to AAA and the pitching coordinator said, hey, you're doing too much. Try not to, do so much with your slider. Again, another example of a guy getting coached by not the major league staff.
Right.
Because what the heck does Matt Wise even do on this pitching staff? And so Chase Silseth was great against the Yankees. He was great against the best team in baseball, the Braves. Consequently, that was our last win, by the way. We've lost 6 in a row, and the last game the Angels won was because Chase Silseth was on the mound with his new and improved repertoire. They lost 3-2, but not because of Chase Silseth. He went 7 innings pitched, 2 runs given up on 2 home runs, 12 Ks, Mike. And here's the thing. He got into the 7th inning for the first time, and I noticed the fastball velo was still sticking around that 93, 94. Maybe not 96 like it is out of the gate.
Yeah.
But we've seen it go from like 96 to like 91 in the past. And that's when you know that he's running out of steam. Gosh, I don't know about you out in the Inland Empire, but out here in LA County, it's freaking hot. And so I can't imagine what it was like on Sunday for Chase Silseth on the mound. But despite that, he goes 7 innings pitched, 12 Ks. Thankfully, Matt Theis got lucky by swinging the same swing path he always does and hits a home run out, and that got Silseth off the hook, and rightfully so, because it was 1-2 in favor of the Mariners. Theis tied it up with that home run, and so again, Silseth gets that no decision by that point, and then Moose got the RBI double, and that was the offense, the home run and the Moustakas RBI, and here we are on Sunday talking about a 3-2 loss in extra innings because the Angels, again, played up to the level of their competition and couldn't get it done.
Well, and in the first inning, they actually had a chance to score some more runs, and they didn't. And then they couldn't even get the Manfred runner in the 10th inning. And so one of the things that I did notice, let me get positive for a moment. One of the things I did notice is that with Chase Silseth, I think the reason why his velo didn't drop so much is that he was really using his legs. And that's really a key to any pitcher is I think often we think it's all arm, but actually it's the full body. And he was doing really well pushing off. And that's why I think his velo didn't drop. He just looks like a different pitcher, which is fascinating because it wasn't because of anybody on the major league roster that actually in major league coaching staff that actually helped him, John. It was the minor leagues, right?
Yeah, exactly. Mike, can I make a point that you and I sometimes, or I will say very often, we are both and people, not either or, both and. And what I mean by that is sometimes baseball, there's an argument of, oh, well, it's either this or it's that. And you and I, as both and people, recognize that more than one thing can be true.
Yeah.
The Angels needed to deliver in that first inning and add on more runs after they responded to the first pitch of the game was a home run. They got that run back. And so there you go. Brand new game. They still had runners on, didn't deliver. They need to change their approaches at the plate. They need to do this and they need to do that. And the umpire was awful on Sunday and took the bat out of so many hands on the Angels. And so again, it's not, well, they need to be better than not just rely on the umpire. They need to be better. and the umpire sucked and took the bat out of their hands.
Yeah. So they sit at a game under 500, which is just crazy that we're back to a game under 500, 10.5 back in the West, 7 back in the wild card. They've lost 6 in a row and they haven't won since the trade deadline. This is the first sweep of the Angels by the Mariners since July of 2005.
I'm surprised that 2005 team got swept.
I'm surprised by that too. Yeah. But here's the tension, Johnny. Seattle outscored the Angels by a combined 6 runs and won each game by 2 or fewer runs. Like that's really where it can be frustrating. Phil Nevin said this after the game. I know everybody is done with us and counted us out. That's fine. We've got 26 guys in there plus staff that know what we haven't. They know we're still in there and they know what's in front of us.
You know, it's funny because that's what the Mariners do, Mike. Their run differential, I think the last 2 years has been absolutely awful, but they either get demolished or they win these like 2-1 in the
Yep.
10th.
Yep.
Da-da-da. And
Yeah.
like that's how they do it.
They
and that's
figure
how
out
you
a way
know,
to win.
Yeah, they figure out a way to win. But that's how you know, like, their offense is terrible, and they shouldn't have been able to do what they did this weekend against us. And that's just an indictment on the Angels.
So let's talk what's next, Johnny. I'd love to go first. Here's what was really pathetic about this weekend: is the Mariners didn't do anything. They traded away a pitcher, and they got some guys that they tried to convince. Jerry DiPoto tried to convince their fan base that these were actually really good guys that are going to help the Major League roster. Our friends at Locked On Mariners actually were really frustrated with Jerry DiPoto and frustrated that they didn't do anything. And the Angels actually were buyers. The problem is that the Angels didn't play like buyers.
No.
They played like sellers. And that's why I would not be surprised if, as of this recording, it hasn't happened, but I would not be surprised to see someone like Benji Gill take over for Phil Nevin. Because after this weekend and the front office going all in, this is what you do. This is the egg that you lay. Like that, somebody has to be held accountable. And I know in Angeldom, there really isn't any accountability. It just kind of moves on to the next thing. We're move on to the next thing. We're just going to turn the page. Phil saying, I know that people are frustrated, Like, come on. Like, there has to be some accountability. My concern, John, is that Artie is going to hold Perry Manassian accountable for this and not the coaching staff and not the manager, which I think would be the wrong move. Would you agree?
I agree that's the wrong move. I mean, this was all Artie's idea. He told Perry to go out and get the pieces to add in order to make this happen. And I agree with that decision. I think they absolutely did the right thing to go out and get the pieces to add, because you and I have said, and we would be betraying our words from the beginning of the season, where it's like, you need to go all in if you find yourself in a winnable spot at the deadline. And they were certainly in a more than winnable spot at the deadline. I don't think the season's over after this, but here's what I do think. I think that their fate is completely out of their hands. Yes, there's games against the Astros left. There's games against Texas left. And there's games against wildcard teams left. But they've blown all their chances to put some wins up in the win column and have a better record than a lot of other teams out there. Because you know what? Those other teams aren't losing right now. We're the only ones losing 6 games in a row, and it's ridiculous. And those other teams are, maybe losing 1 here, 2 there, whatnot. I would feel so much different if they won at least 1 game this weekend. Yeah. But they rolled over and died. They rolled over and took a nap, and here we are ranting and raving about it on Monday. And that's the thing. They have lost every opportunity to take this season into their own hands. And you're right. They haven't played like buyers since they bought. And that's the problem. And yeah, we can sit here and say, Logan O'Hoppy's got a rehab assignment. That's exciting. Mike Trout might be back before the end of the month. That's exciting. It's all very exciting. I just think it's too little, too late at this point. And the Angels have lost the opportunity to take this season into their own hands.
Well, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. They do play the Giants tonight at 6:38 Pacific time, and you can catch every pitch of the Angels' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just search Angels on the SXM app.
Hey, give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On Angels and at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. Mike, what do we have on deck for tomorrow's show?
Well, I don't know if you saw this or not, but friend of the pod, Sam Blum, tweeted that he asked for permission to speak to Matt Wise, and he was denied. We'll share his tweet with you, and then we're actually going to ask this question, and we would love your thoughts, so you can tweet at us or comment below. If you could talk to Matt Wise, what questions would you ask Mr. Matt Wise about why these starters and these relievers are not performing like they did last season? We're going to talk about that tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
Oh, man, the state-run media at it again, not letting reporters talk to anybody. All right, friends. Hey, by the way, I'm going to the game tonight because my friend from the Bay Area, Steven, I mentioned this last week, is a big Giants fan. So we're going to go to the game. And if you see me there, say hi. I'd love to say hi to you and say what's up. So
commiserate.
Yeah, and commiserate. I'll be your baseball therapist in person. All right, friends. Until tomorrow's show, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here with us, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.